Hi there folks, my name's Naval24 and welcome to another little review of an FSX and P3D product. So today we're going to be having a look at MilViz's F-4S and F-4J Phantom. So we're going to be having a look at that in P3D version 3, but it is available for FSX and all variants of FSX and all variants of P3D as well. So before we get too far into this one, we're going to say thank you very much to the wonderful guys over at Flight Sim Store for providing the review copy of this add-on as we get underway here, so thanks very much to you guys for that one. Alright, so we're going to have a bit of a look around the external textures here before, of course, the usual format that we do. We're going to have a look at the external textures, and we're going to jump into the office, go through the startup, and we're even going to go, I'm going to attempt a carrier landing in this beast as well, so this should be highly entertaining for everybody. Alright, so first off, externally, you know, the textures are pretty damn amazing. The attention to detail it's something that I highlighted when I reviewed the F-4E as well. Like the attention to detail, like all the little, you know, all the little signs and you know, all the stenciling and everything that is part of an aircraft is all completely detailed here. So just the texturing is just outstanding. It really is. And the modeling, as you know, look, it's not a huge difference from the F-4E. I mean, they all are all part of the same family. Sort of, you know, the first time that really, you know, that U.S. Navy and U.S. Air Force, and U.S. Marine Corps all actually shared the same aircraft. So the modeling, and you know, this is the same vintage as the F-4E. So yeah, I was expecting a pretty high quality model, and I got it. It shares a lot in common with the F-4E released by MilViz as well. So, and it's funny because the release of this one kind of ambushed everybody. Everyone was sort of hoping that there was going to be an F-4S or an F-4J, or at least some form of navalized Phantom was going to be released, but they sort of kept it very quiet. They were going to release it. In fact, indeed, the fact that they supplied F-4J textures as part of the F-4E release kind of went, we're probably not going to see it anytime soon, and then lo and behold, this sort of appeared out of nowhere. So yeah, it shares a lot in common with the F-4E. As I said, you know, the modeling is very, very similar. The design is similar. You know, they've gone through and, you know, redone the flight dynamics, stuff like that. But more importantly, they've remodeled the cockpit. Of course, now the cockpit is based on the F-4S, not the F-4J. So the S being the sort of earlier variant before the J came about, and the J was sort of the final production one for the Navy, and we spent a lot of time. It also saw significant service with the UK as well, as the F-4J UK, and the F-4S was also known as the Phantom FGR Mark 1 and Mark 2 or FG2 in Royal Navy service. So yeah, you get one Royal Air Force extra in there as well. So it's got quite a bit of history, and yeah, as I said, but also it's not a surprising release, given the fact that, you know, we saw the F-4E, and, you know, it was just interesting that it sort of like bushwhacked everybody, as like within sort of surprised everybody release. So there you go. Alright, so as I said, pretty much external textures, pretty damn amazing. They really are, and that's pretty much all I really have to say on that one. Alright, so what we're going to do is we're going to show, now, so you would have seen, for those who've seen my F-4E video, you would have probably seen some of the things that we're about to see. So we'll just quickly show the, we'll just change that view. There we go. Yeah, that's right. Okay, so we've got the ship now. One thing I did notice, that the fact that, you know, there was a lack of the ladders don't appear, which is, you know, a bit odd, but anyway. So a couple of differences there as well. Now, the reds and slumps, you know, all that kind of stuff's accessed through the payload sort of manager, where you get the extras as well. So we can whack our pilots in. We'll just shuffle that down here so we can see that and see the change to the aircraft. So we've got our pilots on board there now. Alright, so we'll remove our chocks, remove the reds. There we go. Cool. Awesome. Now, interestingly enough, now I don't know whether this is a programming glitch or what, but the manual says that the GPU is actually not available, for the simple fact that, or even if you select it, it doesn't appear, because it is a carrier-based aircraft, which is kind of a bit problematic. Funny enough though, it still appears. So yes, I don't know whether somebody didn't, you know, miss something in the memo when they were making that. I'm not sure. But yeah, so it still appears, which, you know, for ground ops is fine, but yeah, for naval ops, not so much. So yeah, that's a little bit odd. But anyway, so we're going to actually we're going to use it, seeing that it's there. We are going to use it for that one. Okay, so we'll close that one. All right, now let's get into the office. All right, so here we are in the front cockpit now. Very, very similar sort of cockpit layouts, at least from the front and things. But remember that the that's the way I want to go. But remember that the navalized one was designed to be more of an interceptor than the, sort of the multi-role. So it's the guy in back position is primarily for weapons rather than actually any kind of flight. So there you go. That's something to know. Minor differences with it, so yeah, we've got a little more. The front cockpit's a little bit more sparse than it is in the F-4E. Still got all the dials, but yeah, it's got a lot more sort of focus on the naval side of things. So you got your sort of weapon arms, think your Sparrows and stuff like that as a backup option are there, but you know, primarily it is there for the guy in back, which we'll have a look in just a moment. Interesting enough though, because of that the feature, the fact it is the guy in back that is sort of the weapon system officer, so or the radio intercept officer, depending on which era of the Navy you're looking at. A lot of the navigation things that we saw in the front end for the F-4E aren't here in the F-4S. So that is something that you get to see now. We'll just slide back here to the RIOS position. So you can see the RIOS position very much about sort of threat control, threat analysis, and sort of radar control down here as well. So the radar's down here now. From what I can tell, the radars doesn't seem to be modelled, which is a bit interesting. And additionally, we've got the we have the fact we've got the inertial navigation system sort of settings here. But interestingly enough, it seems to not have an alignment time or any kind of alignment feature, which we saw in, which is it takes a very long time to do, as we saw in the F-4E video. So it's something for those people who really like their systems. This seems a little, not. Does that make sense? Like, it seems that somebody missed something when they were doing the conversion from the F-4E to the F-4S. They just seem to miss something. I'm not quite sure what it is, but system-wise, it seems to have missed a few things. But anyway, all right. So what we're going to do is I'm going to show. I'm move back here to the rear position. I'm going to show something a little bit odd. So with the canopies, you can see that we've got them open at the moment. But interesting enough, if you press the canopy sort of pull to unlock and push to close kind of thing, in the rear cockpit, it doesn't actually close the rear cockpit one. It only closes the front cockpit, which is a little odd. You have to use your keyboard commands to actually close the rear canopy. So. And also you can't open the rear canopy unless the front canopy is open, and that's just kind of a little bit weird. So yeah, there's a couple of gremlins sort of crept in here. As I said, it just doesn't quite seem to be the polished products that I saw with the F-4E. I just can't quite put my finger on it, but that's alright. Look, well, enough of me sort of waffling about that. Let's get into the air and see how she goes on takeoff. Now we're at Barking Sands in Hawaii. Now let's get our startup procedures going. Alright. Now first things first, let's jump down here. Alright. Now first off, we're going to have to get our electronics going, so I'm going to jump on the other side of that one. Alright, so first of all, let's get our external power going. We're going to open, we're now going to need to put the wing folds down. Next up, we're going to have to, we've got all that done. There we go. Okay. Now we're going to need to jump over to the side panel here. Now we're going to need to unlock our throttles. Alright, so we'll get our engine masters on. Alright, now we're going to do a start. Yep, there we go. Running up. The RPM's kicking in. Nice. Alright, and we can see our system starting to come online. Now we'll do the same with our right engine. Throttle as it starts up. There we are, we've got percentages, nice, everything's running up quite nicely, excellent, okay. Alright, so we've got that one, engines are on, now we'll set our flight control systems, everything up. Alright, get the crew oxygen on, there we go, get our anti-ice ready and going. I'll leave our lower antenna set. Alright, so yeah, it's still very much a heads down sort of, it is very much a sort of a systems aircraft. But yeah, so far it just hasn't quite felt like the E did. Maybe I'm also a bit more familiar with the aircraft now, having flown the E for a little bit. That's probably a good thing. So let's, I think we need to go. Alright, so we'll generators on. Okay. So we got our anti-ice on, fuel tanks are good. Alright, let's get all our lights ready, flash. Right, getting nice and illuminated for us. Okay, there we go. Now that looks about right for now. Now let's jump on the outside view and have a quick look. Alright, we're looking up and running. Now we can get rid of our GPU. So we'll close that one away now. Now we'll just jump into the Rios, what as I said. So looking at the... Whoop, that's the one I wanted to go to. There we go. You think I'd know my what camera settings I'd put up by now, wouldn't you? Yeah, probably. Yeah, not really. Anyway, so I've set all the things, all the locations and everything there, and this just doesn't have the yeah, it just doesn't have the process and whatever. It's supposed to be, the manual says it's the same process as the E, but that doesn't work because it's different control panel, different panels, different everything. So it's a little, as I said, it just doesn't seem to be quite as polished as what I saw with the E. Like the E was very, very polished and very, very well done. But it just seems that this one didn't quite get it. It feels like it was pushed out to sort of fill the gap and desire of the community, which is great. It's great they're responding to the community, but as I said, it just seems to be not quite as polished as the E. So anyway, alright, so now that we've fiddled around with those things, let's jump into the cockpit here. So we are, looks like we are good, ready to go. Now turn you on. Okay, everything is looking where it should be. Alright, and by the way, the Phantom, at least the Naval one, doesn't actually have a parking brake. It's got an emergency brake, that's it. So yeah, FYI, yeah, although the parking brake control will do that, it's like, yeah, no, it's not actually, that's not actually what it's there for. It's really not there for that. So anyway, alright, let's taxi down, and let's take off into the air and see how she performs in the air, and see if I can make a fool of myself on the carrier. Now the Fabulous Tomb was always sort of known as being a bit of a behemoth and requiring lots and lots of power to sort of stay in the air, and hence why it was sort of it was very, very thirsty, very, very noisy, very thirsty, but just such an iconic aircraft. And as although the United States Air Force was sort of, or Air Forces, so the USAF was the longest running US user of it, but of course the Phantom actually still serves in some air forces around the world today. It's more famous and more recognisable for its contribution to naval aviation. And just being very, very, sort of recognisable and as something. It's sort of, for me, it falls in the same category as the Tomcat, as a very recognisable naval aircraft and something that it just sort of summarises sort of, especially American naval philosophy, where it's big, it's big, it's loud, it's mean, but that's what makes it an effective aircraft kind of thing. So yeah, it's an interesting sort of perspective, and it very much is I think captured it kind of well, because it is big, it is bulky. She guzzles fuel like there's no tomorrow. But at the same time, it's very, very important to sort of do that. All right, I'm going to taxi out here onto the runway. All right, there we go. Okay, we're lined up. Let's do our final checks. Everything's looking good. Everything's looking in the green where it should be. Nice, nice, nice. Okay, alright. Let's get this beast airborne. Notched flaps, power on, and brakes off. Gathering speed, as he said, she seems a bit sluggish, but wow, she eventually will thunder. She just thunders eventually. Just clearing the tree line there. Speed climbing nicely, even with the throttles back a bit. So we'll have another quick look at the externals of the aircraft as we sort of head south as we go in search of our carrier. So again, it's very, very recognisable. The sort of main difference was the nose sort of thing. It didn't have like the chin sort of feature that the Air Force Phantoms were known for. And it was designed, as I said, primarily as a fleet interceptor. It had a very secondary role as a strike aircraft. It was primarily there as an interceptor, a long-range naval interceptor, and would serve in that role for quite a number of years, essentially to be eventually replaced by the Tomcat. So that would be its eventual replacement. And it was very much designed in an era when it was believed that there would be the future of sort of visual combat was actually going to be very, very limited for aircraft, and it was all going to be about beyond visual range and missile engagements and all the rest of it. Hence being one of the reasons why it ended up not having any kind of internal gun attached to it, and a change that was very much eventually recognised by the US Air Force. Not so by the Navy. The Navy stuck with just a missile armament, and if it ever needed guns, it would just be strap-on pods underneath. So, but overall, look, again, as we saw before, the external model is pretty damn awesome. It's got the fully animated jet tailpipes as well. So it is looking pretty but amazing. As I said, I feel that the internal systems have just let it down somewhat. I may be wrong, but it just feels that something something was rushed about this. Maybe it also has something to do with the fact that maybe it was because it was sort of very quietly released to us. It was sort of no fanfare, no sort of announcements. It just sort of appeared, and sometimes that's a good thing. It's a developing humble, but something like MilViz, I kind of expected more, more sort of fanfare with it. I really did. But anyway. Alright, well that's pretty much enough of me waffling on the outside here. So what we're going to do is we're going to attempt a carrier landing. So I'm going to go down and have a look at the carrier. Now I found funny enough, this aircraft is as it's depicted was based off the USS Midway, and I found an AI carrier's version of the USS Midway. So we're going to be attempting to land this aircraft on its home carrier. So we'll see how that goes. Now it's very different from landing on the old Nimitzes that a lot of FSX players are used to. The Midways are a lot shorter. So yes, there you go. We'll see how we go. Alright, so we'll pick this one up as we approach the carrier. Alright, so here we are. We're just going to fly over the carrier briefly, and then we're going to see if we can execute a proper approach. So there we are. Our CV-41, so that's our home operation. So we'll see if we can see how we do it for carrier landing, because that was the big thing with this one, is that it it can do. That was the big difference, was that it was fully set up for carrier operations. So let's see how we go with that. Now the other thing to remember is that, as I was saying before, that this aircraft was very much the design philosophy of it's about brute force that keeps it in the air. So if you do too many snap rolls and stuff like that, you will bleed energy like there's no tomorrow. And that seems to be modeled quite well. I haven't experienced an engine failure in this aircraft yet, but that could be interesting. Alright, let's get our hook down. I'll go on the brake. Brake, that's bleeding off the airspeed. So, okay, rolling out a bit high, I think. A little bit fast. Okay. There we go. That was so we've done that procedure a little bit fast for that one, because that gear should have been dropping a long time ago. Come around up to the aircraft carrier here. Alright, it's rolling out a bit long. Bleed off some airspeed, lose the power. Bolter. Alright, let's try that one again. So as I said, it's the approach. Yeah, that was definitely way too hot. Yeah, that approach was far too hot. Okay, let's try that again. Okay, throttles back. Watch my indexer. Alright. said, it's got a lot of power behind me. It takes a little bit the J79 turbofans. It's got a lot of power there, so it's there when I need it, which is very good for that bolter. Alright, come out a bit wide. That's alright. Here the slats and flaps sort of working automatically as they work with the airspeed. High, that's alright. Okay. There's the thing with this aircraft is that you've got to watch the power is everything. Power is absolutely everything. Okay. Too fast. Looking better. Trap red deck, haha, right, okay. It's a lot harder doing a trap on the Midway than it is on the Nimitz, because and this aircraft in general really is sort of does need a bit of a more conscious effort when you're actually controlling it, especially coming in on landings and the like. So yeah, the behavior of it is a lot different. It really is, and that's good, and that's good. Yeah, and I think a lot of this is modeled well, but as I said before, there is something not quite right. I can't quite put my finger on it. I don't really know what it is, but there is something I can't quite put my finger on, which just, this isn't quite right. I don't know. I think it's just, it just feels like it's not finished, is what it feels like. It feels like it's not finished. I don't know what that means. I don't, but it just feels like it's not quite finished. It feels like something. It feels like they had everything sort of almost ready, and then they thought, you know what, let's just, you know, throw it out there. They didn't seem to actually, you know, it just feels like something wasn't quite right. I'm just going to try and line up the cat here, by the way, while I give my closing thoughts. So yeah, it just feels that something wasn't quite ready in this. I don't know what it is, it just feels that way. So yeah, as I said, like, it's just something about it just doesn't feel quite right. It really doesn't. You know, we've got the, it's the bottom line is that with the F4E and now the F4, you know, F4E F and the F4S and J that we've got here from MilViz, the bottom line is that this is what we've got in terms of Phantoms for P3D. This is it. Like, there's, you know, a couple of you know, or some freeware ones kicking around, but they're sort of, oh, nope. I did have a hook up. Right, good. Yeah, there was. Yeah, this is all we've got. Like, there is nothing else. So, but having said that, there's still. It's a beautiful. It's an absolutely gorgeous and stunning looking aircraft. It really is. There's just no two ways about that. It just feels that the F4E was a polished, highly detailed product, and the F4S is still a brilliant product, just not quite the same level of detail, and that's a shame. It really is. They set the bar pretty damn high when it came to the when it came to the fact of putting out when they made the F4E, but so yeah, you're kind of expecting to have something much similar again, but it's sort of like, yeah, we didn't quite get it here. We really kind of didn't. So anyway, So look, am I going to recommend it? Well, look, if you love your Phantoms, you kind of don't have a choice. And overall, it's still a great aircraft. I still like the way she handles. She feels heavy, like I feel a Phantom should be. You know, you've got your full carrier operations if that's what you're into. If you're more of a Navy jock than an Air Force brat. So, will I recommend it? Yes, I will. But just be aware that this is not quite the same quality that the F-4E is. Like, I think the F-4E is just absolutely outstanding. This one, yeah, not so close. Is it worth the money? Yes. I would say it's worth the money. It's worth, it is worth it. For those of you who already may have the F4E, you can get it as a special price. Though the special price, you do have to get it, I believe, direct from MilViz. You can't get it through if you got your first one through another retailer, because they are giving a discount for those people who already got the F4E and want to expand with the F4S and J. Otherwise, it is available as its own self-alone product, or you can buy them as a bundle pack. So there you go. So all right. So overall, look, I think this is a great piece of payware. Not quite as good as their previous release. Bit of a shame, but that's that's just by the by. But overall, though, very good quality. I like it. I'm going to do carrier ops in it. I think it's awesome. And there you go, that's pretty much it. Alright folks, well that pretty much wraps up this one. We're going to conclude with me launching myself off Catapult here, but before I do, I want to say thank you very much to the wonderful guys over at Flight Sim Store for the review copy of this one. Don't forget that this is available from Flight Sim Store or your favourite online retailer, so look for your copy in online stores soon. Alright folks, thanks very much for watching. Don't forget, as always, to like the video and subscribe to the channel if you're enjoying the videos and want to see more. And of course, as always, if you want to catch up with me and all the things I'm up to between videos, you can always find me on Facebook and on Twitter. Just search Overwing24. Alright folks, thanks very much for watching. Take care, safe skies to all, and we'll see you next time. Bye for now.